Hey guys, just as you know, I'm not trading Monday, but just thought I'd give a breakdown in terms of where I see structure and how it's behaving. I think as things stand at the moment, it's been quite interesting. So I'm on the 4 hour at the moment. If we were to flick up to the daily, just to get more of a sense of where we are, we can certainly see much more of an obvious cascaded effect in terms of the price coming downwards, which is good, I think, especially with this drop into this zone here, which is more creating this sort of lower consolidation range. So what I would say is that we've had a really aggressive move up here, and I'm not saying that head and shoulders patterns play out, but in terms of if this was to come down and create this shoulder and break, I'm not convinced on this break, but I do think that there is a lot supporting the action to come back down into this area in the first half of the year, potentially, but at the very least to here. So if we take a look in terms of this price coming down and cascading down, we could see the price potentially doing something along these lines to at least bridge into this gap. And then whether we get that break and then we have this movement down here, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. For the first time in a long time, we're actually seeing that there's a significant drop in terms of where it's hit the high to actually tapering off of it. If we look at here where it hit the high, it didn't really taper off, it just held strong as a consolidation range. Here, the consolidation range was taken out pretty soon, and we didn't get a retouch of the high there either. So overall, I think that bearish wise, we're looking okay for the interim. However, we've got this gaping wick here on the daily, so I'm almost certain that this will probably get hit at some point in the very near future. And we've also got this lower end of the zone here that I think will be the reaction point, which we'll go into on the 4 hour with an eventual target of here in terms of where the price would get to. So for me, if we come down onto the 4 hour, I'm looking at how the price has behaved. On the 4 hour, you could argue that this looks very choppy. I mean, it is choppy in terms of these wicks being left, but as we can see, the rule of the wick fulfillments and or the price fulfilling the wicks has happened on both. And this was the US Open in terms of this was the US Open, I think, where the candles went a bit skew with. But ultimately, we can see that this was the entry into that bearish break. So it came up and retouched this level. We had this wick confirm this part of here, and then this week here with the price trailing down. Now, I think that whilst we did get a reaction in here, I think that we could see something where we reacting to this level, we get a spike back up in towards the zone here, before then dropping further down to this level. Now, I'm not sure if and how we would then break into here. This was the ultimate destination that I think would be of high likelihood, because we can see that even at the midpoint here, this lines up with this structure, which was the top of that bullish structure at that point, and also the base of the bullish movement up here. So I think that overall, we stand a good chance of the price coming into it, and then we get probably some form of reaction. That'll be the point where I think it will get tricky. In terms of where we stand now, though, that is my sort of short-term forecast. I mean, the hourly doesn't really give us much more in the ways of information here. Obviously, the biggest risk to us is that we could just get the price coming down into this area, or using these wicks as a point of a bounce back up. But I'm using the 4 hour structure as much more of an indication in terms of where I think the price will go, because these 4 hour areas here were the daily ranges here. So I do think that there's going to be a spike up at some point before coming down and hopefully reaching into this or this level. But that's just my opinion. I'm keen to hear what your guys' thoughts are. That the actual trade execution of this is going to be much trickier. It depends whether it goes right up to the top of the range. But to be more conservative, we're probably looking at a range in around here, which means that even on the short position, it's going to be very tricky to justify, because here, you're over 100 point stop, and even if it were to come to here, 4.18, but you're also breaking the low of the trading zone. So I think you could argue there's just about a 3 hour trade there, but not quite. So that's invalidated for me. And then when we come down to try and refine that onto the 1 hour, there isn't that much in terms of the ways of these wick ranges. So we can see the midpoint. I would maybe, if I were to do it, would be using the midpoint as the lower, to be able to refine this short entry here, covering just above here. We're just within that 65 point range. If we go into the sort of high probability trading range, it would be either here or here, based off of the lower bodies here, here, or here. So that trade's not a bad idea, but it's a tricky gap to fill. But that's my direction. I'd be interested to see how Monday takes off from here. Still frustrated I missed this one by a point, but keen to get your thoughts on what you're looking at as well for this week.